Hello, toy friends. Welcome back. I'm Will. This is the 1A team. And with me, as always, is Mr. Jim Largo. Largo, how you
Howdy.
doing?
I'm
How's
good.
it going?
Yeah,
Well,
it's good.
listen, we got an awesome show today, so I think we should just get right into it and bring on our awesome guests. We've been waiting for this for months. Been talking about it every week. We've got Steve from Delta-17 and
Yo,
his sidekick. The wonderful Ken from Toy Connections.
Robin became Nightwing, who became cooler than Batman. So,
there we
Yeah.
That's a
go.
fair point,
Yep.
Ken.
And
Yeah.
before
and he
we
looks
jump
better in the
into-
spandex.
He does. Let's just say hi to the chat real quick, and then we'll jump right into it because I'm sure people are waiting. And Bjorn's here with the Modulok. Ian Sweeney
Oh,
play. So thank you, Ian. She'll be great. Wraith Mace, awesome. This should be fun. It will be. And Jim Largo, thanks for coming. I appreciate it. Happy Sunday, everyone. Happy Sunday to you, Jeff. Let's see. And Beta Ray Bob, who became a YouTube channel member. Thank you so much, man.
Cool.
That's really awesome. Thank you. And Gojatron is in the middle of a nice New England snowstorm. So stay warm, buddy,
Jeez.
and hang in there. World Made of Cardboard. Hello there. And Mr. Action Figs himself, Ed, how are you? Justin, what's happening, buddy? And Impossible Pie's here. It's time for Delta-17. Hell yeah.
yeah.
And Delta-17 came by, so that's great. Greetings, pals and gals. from
World made of
Zimbabwe.
cardboard says I need more toys behind me, so I'm just gonna fix that for him.
Roberto from Robert's Infinite Realms. How's it going, buddy? And Wraith Mace with an awesome $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Happy Sunday, gentlemen. That's awesome. Stillwind's here. How's it going? And Nightwing is the man. Yeah, I love him. He's one of my favorite characters.
But no Batmobile. He doesn't have the
It's
Batmobile.
true.
Yeah. No. All right.
Impossible Pie is here too.
Oh yeah.
I think we said hi to him already.
Oh, did
Yeah.
we?
And
Does that work, Beta Ray? I closed the
MCR.
gap behind me a little bit. So.
yeah,
Much
I
better.
No,
love
Beta
the-
Ray. World made of cardboard said that. Sorry.
I love the wall of awesomeness that you have behind you, and I'm gonna be sad when it has to go away because I know you're gonna have to pack that up at some point, right?
Well, I showed this on Oz's stream last night, but look what I got the other night.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh,
Vintage turtle lair.
Yeah.
nice.
So
And
there we
Boba
go.
Hicks is here. How's it going, Boba Hicks? And
Nice,
you know
Boba.
what? I did want to just give a quick shout out to. I don't know if he's here yet, but Frontline. He's the admin of the Chat May Acidverse Beta Facebook group and a fan of the show here. He tunes in. But he found this is the Soldier Force version of like the little miniature flying wing. He found at an HEB store in Texas and sent me. So thank you so much for this. I appreciate it.
Wow.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's very nice of him.
Well, Ken and Steve, we're very pleased to see you. You guys have been all over the web lately. You've been the flavor of the month with Delta-17. So we'll try not to, cover territory you guys have already been over, but yeah, a few questions we want to talk about and just get some background on where Delta-17 originated and where you're planning on going. So,
All right. Well, appreciate that.
Mhm.
Where do you want to start? You want to start right there?
yeah.
Okay.
I think what we'll do is we put together some videos we've put out just to give people an idea of what is the lore, the backstory of the characters. It's like the figures, the toys speak for themselves, but we really want to see people actually read the file card on the back of the box, get into
Yeah.
the comic book when they're available, that kind of stuff. So
Nice.
with that in mind, you wanna roll the heroes for us there, Will, and
Will do.
introduce people to the team.
Wow.
Way
Boom.
to go, Jim Largo,
Yeah.
man! You killed it with that video. That's awesome.
Hey, I just want to say all of this information was gleaned from the excellent Delta-17 website. The character profiles are active. If you want to go check them out, go to the website and look them up for yourself.
That
Yeah.
is
Wow.
just
Still,
fantastic.
that's incredible, Jim. That was amazing. Thank you.
Just the work you do on Canva there, you know.
Yeah.
You should have told me you were this good. I would have just hired you to do all my Toy Connections editing here and there. All I
Yeah,
gotta do is
yeah.
give you all the monetization. I will just script and do audio. You do the rest.
Hey,
Well,
I'm
Ken,
learning
it
as I
looks
go.
What's
It
up?
looks like your echo problem is fine.
Good.
We're good. And
Yeah.
we got a wonderful $4.99 super chat from Stillwind87. And they are saying some nice vehicle ideas like a DARPA kind of robot dog or a
Mm.
carry bot, attach backpacks and weapons, transport helicopter, Airwolf meets stealth Blackhawk. I like it.
Like
Nice
that.
ideas. Thank you.
Yeah.
And we'll get
Yeah.
into some
One
of that
thing I'd like to
later
point
on.
out is with the heroes and with Retrograd especially, I love the fact that they're very grounded. They're using real world equipment. With the Dark Shadows, they're a little bit more into the sci-fi, but it's cool how you've melded the two.
Yeah.
When
Thank you.
originating Delta-17, were you kind of going for a sci-fi vibe, or were you thinking real world military, or did it just kind of organically just kind of blend together?
Well, at Delta-17, we want the lore, the story, and all that stuff to follow reality. I want to be careful when I say reality because like a good Tom Clancy novel, it dips into conspiracy a bit and different things like that, and you'll find that Delta-17 does that as well. There is some reality to that, just how much we don't know just yet. So we did want the good guys to follow real life teams. We want these teams, these guns, everything, the people to be relatable to current events. Like we're setting our timeline in about, we haven't decided if we'll start at 2013 and move forward or 2015, but it's going to be somewhere around there, and we're going to roll the clock forward.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as the bad guys go, yeah, they have some advanced tech, and that sort of also mirrors reality. There is stuff out there that DARPA or whoever else, they have it, and they haven't released it to us yet. We're usually about 20 years behind what they have. So, I mean, like one of my buddies, his dad bought a truck with a carburetor that got him almost 100 miles per gallon. Well,
Wow.
the mechanic fixed that and set it back to 8 miles per gallon for him, sent that carburetor back to the manufacturing. That wasn't supposed to leave the plant, right? So there's things out there, whether it's thorium salt reactors or TR3Bs, different things like that that do exist out there, rail guns, etc. We don't use them day to day, but since the Dark Shadows are tapped into all of the evil empires around the world, and the people that make the gears actually turn, they have access to everything. So they are a bit sci-fi, and I think we'll have to see Delta responding with like power. So
Yeah. The old saying, truth is stranger than fiction, definitely applies, especially when it comes to, Skunk Works and some of the Black Ops projects that we don't see on the books. So it's cool that you're incorporating those real world scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know that with the whole like conspiracy thing, a lot of that will just be used to drive the story for entertainment purposes, right? Like, yeah, obviously there's people out there, like there's a lot of theories out there. Will we lean into it a little bit to kind of like further, the intrigue and the conflict between Delta-17 and its own government, as like certain corrupt government officials in fictional storyline, and also how all that relates to the Dark Shadows and Retrograd. So it's going to be hard to thread the needle between what we've described as a very mature storytelling, but still wanting to grip that younger audience in.
Yeah. And it's a fine balance to strike. And we've seen, previous lines like, Real American Hero who were able to successfully incorporate both, the comic book type of storytelling, as well as just having it on the shelf for kids to grab it and play with and go, hey man, this is cool plastic. So
Yeah.
I think Delta-17 is definitely in that same wheelhouse of if kids just want to play with it as a toy, great. If older collectors want to get into the lore like us, it's there too. So it's it's a good balance.
Yeah, well, thanks.
Yeah. I mean, hey guys, tons of positive feedback coming in from the chat. So thank you all for that. And Justin Warrior with a $5 super chat. Never in my lifetime has there been this much of a toy community. Thanks, Jim and Will. It's not us, but thank you. And to the rest of
It
you
is
all.
you.
So yeah, it really is a great time. And 2024 is looking to be an awesome year to be a toy collector.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
you guys
seriously, thank you, Jim and Will. You guys are awesome. We really appreciate you, everything you do, and you guys have an awesome show. And I have yet
thanks.
to meet you in real life, Jim. We got to sit down, have a cigar or something like that, and a
Yeah,
good
man, that'd
bourbon.
be good.
Fingers crossed, we'll see him in June. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a world made of cardboard
Cigars and
coming
brandy
in.
or bourbon. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you guys get a late night knock at your door from guys dressed in black, you know your theories hit too close to home. So yeah, you always want to put
Yeah.
that disclaimer. We're not saying this actually. It could
Right.
be.
Yeah. This is all fictional.
Mhm.
Well, I know you guys have been, poked and prodded to death about the construction and the O-ring and all of the ins and outs of the toy. But today we kind of want to go more about the characters. Every one of the characters in your Delta-17 line are interesting in and of themselves, and as how are they going to work as a unit? Because there's a lot of strong-willed individuals you've created.
Absolutely.
Any thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, go ahead. I was going to say I know the answer to this one, but Scott brings up a good point. But we'll get to it after. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. That's always the tough balance, and I find that as I'm working on wave 2 right now, just on paper. So most of the guys are all drawn out and their accessories are figured out. And if you guys like the accessories now, you're going to love the accessories in wave 2 because we're getting more complicated, more innovative. We've got one figure that has probably 4 new innovations on him just in the accessories. And I mean, it's not like we're reinventing the wheel, but we're just like, hey, how about we put a hinge here that goes there that attaches to this, and then you can swap it over to that guy, and you can use it for your GI Joes this way, and blah blah blah. So we're trying to complement the old era line as well as really build up Delta. But it is hard, like, because when you put in a strong-willed guy or whatever, then it's like, well, he takes the cake, he takes the camera, and then if you go in the military, like I've been with the Canadian Reserves for almost 18 years and just got kicked out recently when I moved. So I had to hand in my rifle and all that crap. But there's so many characters and they're all, it's difficult, right? It all comes to rank because they're all basically piss and vinegar and all that stuff, right?
Hard chargers,
Yeah, a ton of A-types, and then you've actually got a surprising amount of nerds there who never really did well in school or with the girls or whatever, but they want to show themselves strong, and they're great people, really, really great people. So you've got this crazy mix. So when you're writing in these new guys, it's like, this guy's a take charge, and this guy's a comedian and whatever, and it's like, well, there's a ton of comedians and a ton of take charge guys out there. How do they stack against each other? How do they so it is a bit difficult. And I've always wondered that with A-Ra, when they're introducing new characters, you have some that sit right at the forefront, like Shipwreck and Duke and Snake Eyes will sit right at the forefront. And then you introduce Sci-Fi or Airtight, and they're cool, but they're just sort of a figure. They don't get much airtime, they don't get much whatever, but they're still pretty significant to the kid who buys them. Right. So it's always this strange balance. I never know how to really figure it out, to be quite honest, but we'll do our best to make everyone alive, everyone important.
Mm-hmm. It's hard because in any universe, you get A-listers, B-listers, C-listers, and D-listers, right?
Yeah.
So I think what it is, right now you're looking in the chat, a lot of people have different favorites. right?
Oh yeah.
Some people are like, oh, it's Death Sparrow all the way. Some are saying it's Preacher all the way. Some of them are saying it's Rooster or Leo,
Right.
Shepherd, Shadow Dragon. Like everyone has a different favorite. So I think from an aesthetic perspective, the line has really threaded the needle properly to be able to balance all that. But going forward, story-wise, how do you kind of make everyone equally important, or do you?
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
Well, and
I mean,
that's one thing you guys have done well is one of the shortcomings, in my opinion, with Real American Hero is too much specialization. You've got guys like Barbecue or Snow Job. It's like they're only good in one scenario, and that's the only time they get called on. All your guys are cross-trained, so they're good in any situation. Just throw them in a fight, and
Sure.
they'll get in where they fit in. I like that
And
better.
Yeah.
the thing I like is that when you glance upon the entire cast, or all of the figures released, yeah, one or two are going to pop out to you, but the thing that you've done that is exceptional is that when you look a layer deeper, all of these characters have a rich lore to them that can endear them to you. So maybe he didn't look the flashiest, to begin with, or say. But once you start reading their story, they kind of become a little more than just a figure with a cool feature.
Yeah.
There's more to them. So I find myself, as I'm going through the figures, and it's kind of like every time I pick one up, that one becomes my favorite. And then,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Same.
And then
Yeah, I know.
yeah, it's hard to choose just one because
Yeah.
they all have things that you like about them, just like real people.
Right.
Like,
Right. Yeah. Yeah. That's the goal, is to try to make them like real people. Like, I don't care if people know who I am or like me or whatever, if I'm famous or not. That doesn't matter to me. I want people to know Rooster and like him and Shepherd and all these guys, and just like real people, just like you said, I want them to be like real people, so that even if this guy's quiet or doesn't do much here, they're all important. They all shine at some time, and sometimes they shine as a unit. It's not necessarily that this guy has to jump out and have a Rambo moment, or this person or whatever.
Yeah.
It's a cohesive unit, a fine-tuned machine, and without one cog in that machine or whatever, it all falls apart, right?
Exactly.
absolutely.
So, Steve, you're definitely the guy who's more into the engineering of the toy and writing the lore and the story. Ken, how much are you involved in the storytelling aspects? Is this something that you guys share when you're kind of bouncing ideas back and forth?
Generally, yeah. Like Steve laid out the first issue, for example, but it was kind of like Steve did it kind of in the old school. Here's a bunch of notes. And as Steve knows, it wasn't in a point form. Here's the order it's got to go. There were notes all over the paper.
Yep.
Some were done diagonal, some were little sketches, some were names over here, and it's like, so Ken, make that a story. I've got the flow, but I need a script. Oh, okay. And I think that one, I blamed that out relatively quickly, and then what do you call it? As far as the story elements are concerned, there's stuff that I pitched to Steve a couple years ago, like when we were trying to write up Rooster's backstory, for example. He came up with kind of like the core elements, and I'd add one or two nuggets in there. And we have a bunch of comic ideas, because what I wanted to do, and Steve, stop me if I'm going too deep here, is I kind of wanted to develop each character separately. Because some of my favorite comics, like some of my favorite X-Men comics, and a lot of people don't like it, but the Wolverine origin story, the Magneto Testament story.
Great.
That's right. They didn't like seeing Logan as a little kid. Magneto Testament. I loved that Marvel story. I loved Batman Year One. So I started writing stuff for Death Sparrow here, Rooster here, Preacher over here. And then Steve was like, but we need a barn burner first comic to kind of, let's do a big battle first. Let's do an Expendables type of scene and then go back and re-explore everything. I kind of wanted to do it the other way, but in the end, if this was a movie or a TV series, you'd need that barn burner opening scene. You don't want the slow burn to introduce the characters, because there's too many of them, right? That origin thing works when you have one superhero, a small crew, right? It doesn't work when you got 12 characters, and that's where I was going with it. But all the elements that I put in, Steve is like, we're probably going to use this at some point in small doses. Like there's some parts of Death Sparrow's backstory that I think were completely revamped after you and I got on a few phone calls and I submitted a few things to you. So, yeah.
And we're definitely fans of the organic storytelling. It's like, Will and I will write stuff on I always keep a little notepad by the desk where I get an idea. He writes on envelopes and napkins or whatever's handy, so we get that creative process. It's definitely fun to see how you guys are going to take your different approaches and tell a story in the future.
Yeah. And the origin stuff is all very useful. Like, even if we don't end up using some of it, it's good to know you have to create this person into a real person. And, so you put this stuff down and you understand them, and then they just flow from there, because you've now made a person that you can speak for them. You understand how they talk and how they think and all of this stuff. So it works better in the stories as it goes along. And yeah, I'd definitely love to get into some origin stuff. I just don't know where to shuffle it in the deck just yet. So we'll
another thing I'd like to see, and you may
your hooks.
go.
You definitely got your hooks in. So we're in, we're seated, we're waiting. So there's plenty of time to do all of that. But go ahead, Jim. And then after that, Jim, what were you going to say? I just want to get to a couple super chats and address one question in the chat. But go ahead.
Yeah, just real quick. One good storytelling mechanic I enjoy is when you do missions where you have one or two members of the team go off and do a separate side mission. So then you get a chance to see more of the, the behind the scenes or how they interact with one particular personality or another when they're forced to work together.
Right.
So it's fun to see if you guys do stuff like that too.
Yeah, and we just got a couple super chats I want to get to real quick. Stillwind87, thanks again for the $4.99 super chat. Vehicle Ideas Part 2. MRAP, like platform, multiple versions to change out core compartment command, medical, or just tactical support. Interesting. We're gonna actually come around to that a little later in the show. We got some stuff I wanted to show as well. And then it's Chad with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much, Chad.
Hey, Chad.
Thanks, Chad.
Look at these awesome fellas. 118 for life. Steve and Ken, good to see you again. Thanks again for doing a new rich 118 scale line.
Thanks, man.
it was great seeing Chad's reactions when we showed him the test shots at breakfast time back at Joe Fest. But shameless plug for Chad. He's so close to 3K subs. Let's get him there.
Yeah, right.
Right. I forget what it was, but he's like 50 or 70 away or something like that.
Yeah.
So come on.
We had a good question from Scott in the chat. So thank you, Scott, for this. I do know the answer to it, but I'm going to let Steve and Ken take this one. Why 17? Is it because the number meshed looks like like a Delta symbol?
It's because the highest level of secrecy that you can get in the American government is the 17th level, also known as Q level clearance. So Delta has a special meaning, 5x5 toys has a special meaning, and 17 has a special meaning. All will be discussed in the future.
I've been asked that question too, Steve, but it's the first time that we've addressed it live. So I've been telling people it'll be in the comic unless Steve decides to tell it somewhere. And if you were going to say it somewhere, I'm glad it's online with these two.
Good question and great answer. So yeah, thank you guys. And just so you know, Ken is or Chad is going to have a show tonight at 7 p.m. Articulated Chat, and they're going to have the dudes from Strike Force Alpha on. So that's awesome, guys. Cool. Yeah, you get 2 O-ring lines in one day. So yeah, awesome.
I'll drop Chad's. Do I have mod rights on your channel, Will?
Yeah, I think you do.
Okay, I'll drop Chad's channel link on there.
And A World Made of Cardboard just said, as a kid, a real American hero, G.I. Joe. He was always something with them. Is the best military fighting an extraordinary enemy force. Yeah, they. My favorite line as a kid, and I loved mostly the vehicles, but the figures as well. I thought the entire thing itself made it the best toy line for me as a kid. It was a combination of those great characters, great enemies, great vehicles, play sets, all of it. Just knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys have got limited time because you've got other interviews for later in the day. Will, you want to jump in and show the enemies, and then we can get into some of the questions we had for these gentlemen?
Absolutely, because with a great hero team, you need a great adversary to fight, and Delta-17 gives us not one but two factions to go up against, and let's take a look at those. Once again,
Wow.
awesome job, Largo, man. That's
Yeah.
killer. And chat just absolutely loves them. A lot of people coming in here and they love Death Sparrow. Um, Bjorn's into the bad guys. I really like them, but I tell you all the time, they do look cool, but I'm always rooting for the good guys. It's just something about me. I don't know. I always pick them. But army builders for the win, yes. Thunder Battalion in particular, I need like so many more of those. Wraith Mace with a $2 super chat. Thank you so much. Pretty sure I'd be part of Dark Shadows.
except his mask looks the closest to Shepard. You paint the
True,
red
that's
parts white, and you've got Wraith Mace's avatar.
And
there.
MCR wants to know who took those pics. Those are the ones from the website, right?
Yes. Some were from Ken, some were from the Delta-17 website itself. I'm not sure who the photographer was.
Justin saying he's a happy
The guy from
married
Victoria.
man, but he's got to say Death Sparrow is hot. I got to say she is stunning. And I said, she'd be putting me down and I'd be, apologizing to her for, wasting her bullets. She really is something. Really.
Again, gentlemen, we definitely want to congratulate you on creating a formidable threat. These are not a joke. They're not guys in cartoon costumes coming around shooting laser pistols. They are ominous, in the shadows, and scary. I really like the idea. You have a mercenary group working for a in the shadows group who you don't know their agenda. You don't know exactly where they're from. You just know they have a plan, and it's going to affect everybody.
That was the thing we wiped out because we actually put a lot more on Shadow Dragon's bio initially, and we're like, hold on, it's the Dark Shadows. He needs to be more mysterious than this.
Yeah.
We can't say he's an enigma. In fact, who did we show it to? And somebody said to us, was it one of our friends we showed it to? And they're like, it's not making him much of an enigma if you do that. And I'm like, okay. And we wiped out like half a paragraph of
it's like I call that the Boba Fett scenario. Leave the helmet on, give us the mystery. When you start giving us too much, then it loses something. I like the mystery.
Yeah.
So Still Wind with another $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. You don't have to do that, but vehicle ideas part 3, air support, F-35 air type airframe, make it black, perhaps. Just some ideas. He's all in for this line, so thank you so much. Thank you.
As you may have picked up, 118 fans are very vehicle centric. But if you don't have a good set of characters, the vehicles don't have anybody to employ them. So gotta start with the characters.
Okay, we'll start with this. Okay, don't get on my butt. This is going to be a year and a half to 2 years before we see this. Okay, so don't be like, "Where's my vehicle? Where's my vehicle?" Stop it, right? But I will give you a hint. The vehicle that we'll put out, we're going to do it very well. It's going to be very hard to make. It's going to be big. It's in one of these 2 stacks of cards. So
nice.
That's all I'm giving you.
That'll work.
Yep.
That works for me. Excellent. Well, thank you so much for that, Steve. That's pretty awesome. Speculate. Come on, Chad.
Yeah.
And leave a comment below what you think.
It's a flag.
That would be fun.
Speaking of vehicles, one of the things that Will has been doing is play testing with Delta-17, looking at vehicles that are already on the market that are compatible, and there are a lot, and not just from Hasbro, from many other companies. So we might take a look at that in a minute.
Yeah.
There we go.
Want to take a look at the toy cam there. Yeah, let me pull it up and get my stupid face out of the way. But I've got tons of ideas for Delta-17. I've got a big base diorama kind of thing planned, and just real life keeps getting in the way. I would say the only downside to getting Delta-17 is that it's here, but I can't touch it. I can't play with it because all this other real world stuff is happening, and it's kind of annoying. But Jim really likes this one for the Delta-17 team. That's the G.I. Joe Warthog.
I love that vehicle, and I like the idea of a troop transport. Yeah, it's a big boy.
It's a great vehicle and a real nice one. I have lofty plans for a G.I. Joe APC, which I can't fit in here, and I've got really good plans for this, which is a click and play kind of vehicle. It's their fast attack vehicle. and it's really cool. And my idea is to give this a nice paint job and make it Death Sparrow's kind of land command vehicle. And
Nice.
I'm really looking forward to doing that. So, you know,
Mm-hmm.
the APC I wanted to remove that canvas top and kind of 3D print and design something that is a little more tactical.
Heavy duty.
I saw a really nice custom that they did at Joe Fest. Someone basically the top opens up and it makes like a little mini command center, kind of like the ATC, the Palatway version.
Oh, the green one, yeah.
And
Nice.
that goes into the super chat earlier. They were saying, modular, where it has like a command center or a med bay or things like that, and you got that big empty space. So you could make things that fit in there that could convert it to, several different things. Oh, I love it. Stinger, my favorite. My favorite vamp variant is the Stinger. Yeah. And
these
Classic.
Dark Shadows guys look really good with their colors with the Stinger.
Hell yeah. I love it, man. Oh, and Steve sitting there on his throne of Delta-17 boxes. I like how you constructed. I want to make a miniature throne of Delta-17 cases. For my guys to be smuggling. I did want to get to this real quick, but Wraith Mace with a $20 super chat. Thank you so much.
Wow.
Thank
I
you.
need to hire someone to customize that figure into Wraith versions. Ideas?
If it's repainting, anyone can pretty much do it.
Yeah.
If it's like sculpting and all that, you might just want to kit bash some torsos together. I mean, I would just get the figure first and then figure it out, because you might want one just a shepherd, and then you go, I need a second one later, and we're gonna repaint the face or something.
Yeah, this
That
guy's
is a
pretty
question
close.
you guys have probably had before, but how easy is it going to be to do some customization with these? I assume being O-ring construction, you take them apart like the classic O-rings and change out torso bits and head bits and all that stuff. Is that something as collectors we can tinker with?
Yeah, absolutely. The only difference is with the females, you take a female and you take her apart. Since we wanted to do our females, like the G.I. Joe females, their shoulders were the same width as the male females, so they look a bit strange. We wanted to do them a bit more petite, so our shoulders are a little bit, not as wide. The waist comes in a bit. We wanted the hips to go out a bit, have a bit of a hourglass look. So when we did that, we had to sacrifice the neck ball by a lot. So all of our Delta-17 figures, except the females, can be swapped out with A-Raw style. So when you come to the female figures, I don't know if you can see it, but the neck ball goes down almost, perfectly in line. The neck ball is almost gone. It still works. It still functions perfectly within our figure, but you're not going to be able to swap out with a G.I. Joe female head for our females.
Okay.
And that is
well, we're going to have fun experimenting, and that's another thing about customization. It gives us excuses to buy more. It's like we want the core set of what you built, and then we want extras so we can customize and tinker around.
Yeah.
So, well, look what Marauder is doing. They've made a whole business on just kit bashing and customization now.
Nice.
Right.
Yeah.
We did get asked in the chat whether we would do stickers. I know we've talked very little about that. I don't think it's in the plan A right now.
Well, we're going to do decals that people can buy to slap on their vehicles, but I've never really thought about, smaller ones that you can slap on a Stinger or what have you. That's a good idea. But what were you going to say? Sorry, Jim.
Yeah. Oh, I was just going to say, as far as secondary accessories, I'm a sucker for challenge coins. I don't know how you feel about those.
Oh, yeah.
I'd love to see a Delta-17 challenge coin maybe in the future at a Joe Fest or something. And I'm a sucker for hat pins, too. I'd love to get a Delta-17 pin to put on that. So anything like that in the mind for the future as far as non-toy related stuff?
Well, it is now.
Cool.
That is
And
awesome.
that, that's something that's a carryover from the military days. We challenge coins, pins, things like that. I'm a sucker for that kind of stuff. And I have a feeling a few other collectors are as well. So,
Yeah, for sure. We hope to have more stuff available at Joe Fest 2024 other than just figures. We're going to have,
cool.
shirts. I'm going to make a few hockey jerseys, and we're going to have hats, comic books, decals, patches, a couple of other things like that. So challenge
Awesome.
coins, we'll see if we can do that. Yeah, maybe.
Well,
Yeah.
that is awesome.
Maybe down the
And
road.
I know. I just want to apologize, and say Stillwind with another super chat, whatever vehicle it is. I'm game, and I know it'll be worth the wait. Thanks for bringing this line to life. Yeah, and just heartfelt congratulations, because this is no easy task. Taking an idea, we all have great ideas, but being able to implement that idea and convert it, even though it was a long process and you guys, you did it, but it is a factory, quality toy line that is 100% at or above the level of, Hasbro in their heyday, with their Real American Hero line. So,
Yeah.
just want to applaud you guys. Clap, 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 slow clap.
Absolutely.
Great job. Man.
All right. Thank you.
Ideas are a dime a dozen, and all of us have, ideas of something we'd like to put together. But to actually get to a factory, get the molds made, do the engineering, do the due diligence, you guys have done a lot of work behind the scenes, and we know that's not easy.
People are loving the patches and challenge coin idea. So yeah.
Oh,
awesome.
good. Yeah, we'll see what we can do real quick. Yeah, it's been almost 3.5 years, I guess, and we've been really blessed to bump into the people that we have and have them on our team. I mean, the goal was to make something at the level of quality as G.I. Joe in 1985, 86.
Yeah.
That was my goal, and I told whoever was working with me, if we can't hit that, then we're just going to hit that big stop button, throw everything in the trash, and go back to our day jobs.
I think you absolutely met and exceeded my expectations for quality when I got these in my hand. You know what I mean? So, I definitely believe that. Well, before we started, we did put together some questions. We just wanted to ask you. Some of them have been covered already. Maybe some have not, but we'll just go through them real quick here and
Sure.
Just to see. I did want to give a big thank you to all of our Patreon and channel members. We got Mike McLaughlin, Weird Fantastic Toy Adventures, Roll Keeper, and Justin Morier. Just wonderful guys. And then all the guys that just joined today, we'll add you to the list in future episodes. So we got a little Q&A here. Once again, just some. So, Steve, we talked about Delta-17, and we keep talking about Delta-17. But what I wanted to know, and I know we could take a guess here, what were your favorite toys or toy lines as a kid? Do you have a favorite vintage vehicle or playset, within that toy line that I'm pretty sure I already know the answer to?
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah, I'm all about G.I. Joe. I can't get over it. I mean, when I first saw one when I was a kid, everything stopped. The whole world was reinvented in a new image, and since then, I mean, I still can't get over them. They're beautiful. I love.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I mean, I got some of the classifieds in. I really enjoy them. I just unpackaged one about half an hour ago, but I was kind of like, yeah, this is cool. I don't know. There's something about the plastics that they use. Sorry, I don't have an. Oh, well, I got one here. Something about the plastics that they use, the weight, the shine, the everything. It just seems like it's really worth something. Like, here's, is this the guy? Yeah. Here's a Jaguar that was early on when we were just, I think this was I can't remember which phase this was. This is before we got the shine and we changed the plastics up. He looks, I don't know if you can see it, he looks kind of dull. I think the light makes him look a bit shiny, but he's kind of dull. He looks like the Toys R Us kind of Hasbro stuff. He's a bit floppy and all that.
Mm-hmm.
And
I know exactly what you mean when you say that. Like the Toys R Us ones just didn't feel right. Yeah.
No, they were cool, and I still pursue them everywhere because I'm, but when I get them, I'm like, yes, so cool. Well, I have it, so that's great. But this is how he is at this phase. And if we had stayed here, I would have just been like, "Okay, just shoot him and let's go home," right?
And that was after the tooling was done already.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. So
Well, one thing
luckily-
I'm very happy about is the fact that you made sure that the tolerances for the thumbs are taken into account. Because the one thing that is heartbreaking is to get a classic O-ring Joe.
Yeah.
Always the thumbs are broken off because of the hardness of the plastic. That's not going to be an issue with Delta-17.
No, we have not only swivel wrists, but we have PVC hands. So
Yeah.
yeah, they're kind of flexible. It's called 90-degree PVC, so it still feels almost as hard as ABS, but it's not. It still has a bit of give to it.
Yeah, it's designed to give that tiny bit of flex.
Yeah.
Which is a wonderful innovation and probably something that was needed a long time ago, that just never happened. It's Chad with another super chat. Steve, give me I'm saying it Hind, right? D? I'll buy 10 at least. Hey, you just crowdfunded. So, yeah.
I can neither confirm or deny.
Yeah. And
Just going to write that down in a
Bob,
note on the side.
with a good question, will
discussion.
future waves have the Delta-17 team in different outfits and paint jobs, or will new characters be added to the hero team?
Yes.
Yes.
I think both, right? Yeah, yes.
Yeah, we're gonna explore the Arctic, the desert, all that other stuff. But as far as Wave 2 goes, right now we have at least 12 new figures on the schedule. There's about 35 to 40 to choose from that I've created. So we're gonna try to pick it's going to be difficult. Like, me, I'm 100% military. I love just military green but people want to see more than that. So we have to shuffle the deck a bit and add some color and add some, a little bit of outrageous, incredible stuff in there.
So I know it's a basic question and you probably get it all the time, but it's something I really did want to know. But any standout vehicles or play sets from that G.I. Joe line that really,
well, as a kid, I didn't have much G.I. Joe, the figures that I did have, I shoplifted or, I purchased when I did have some money. My parents did buy me the Snow Cat. And since I lived in Manitoba in the snow, it was, that thing was
that's
the
a
most
sweet vehicle. Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's killer. It really works. It's functional. It doesn't fall apart.
Yeah, you had that one. I had the Tiger Cat growing up. That's why I was so tempted. Was it you that picked up the Tiger Cat at the Victoria Toy Fair a while ago? The unassembled one, in the box.
Yes,
maybe
yes.
Yeah.
Well, no, I think I had it. Well, I don't know. Maybe I have a couple now. I'm not sure. But yeah, it's right over there.
Okay.
Sorry. But yeah, someone's saying neon. We did when we were first doing the line. I drew up a neon version of every figure just for fun. We're going to call them Neon 90s versions. But I don't know if we'll do it because we'd have to do small runs, like maybe 1,000 only per. And I don't know what kind of reception that would have. Like we had Rooster in bright orange with dark orange stripes, and then a blue vest, and all of this stuff. And it was like, this would be fun. But I think that's something maybe Wave 3 we'll get into. Wave 2, we've got 12 new characters, but I might add on 2 more that are just repaints or different things like that. Like with you got Spetsnaz's belt here. I was thinking, well, if we change out the waist on Shepard and we give him the belt and then we recolor him and blah 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 and all this other stuff, we could do some of that stuff. I just don't want to. I don't want to flood the market with that just yet. We don't want to be.
Sure.
I don't want to say a name. We don't want to be one of these lines that's just repaint. Maybe we'll have 14 characters, but 12 of them are brand new. And
when you hit the ground running, and repaints make sense the way that because Mythic Legions is an example of repaint. Put some new parts together, or put some parts together that haven't been together before. Make a theme. You know what I mean? But they have a completely different level of traction after having been going for the last 8 years.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's an example of where it does work, but it can't always work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's a question here from Scott about something zombies. Just a real quick note: we will never touch zombies, vampires, aliens, space, any of that stuff. We're staying away from mythical kind of stuff. It's all going to be real
Sure.
world.
Okay. Well, that kills off all of my suggestions for Wave 3, but anyway.
All right.
All right.
You
good.
know.
Well, there
Well,
are
I'm
plenty of other O-ring lines doing similar things.
Oh, yeah.
And just all these O-ring 3 3/4 inch lines are compatible. So your
Yeah.
head canon is your own, and make it your own. But yeah, Jim, you had a nice question here. I think
Yeah,
we've heard the answer.
I'm a
but-
sucker. Yeah, I'm totally a sucker for the doggos. I love when you have companions in a toy line that fit. And, obviously Leonidas's pup is an awesome one. But in the lore, looking on your website and what's available, I didn't see the name for the dog. Has that been addressed?
That's his name has not been addressed. It's
Okay.
yes, he has to be named, and it has to make sense in the story. When Wave 2 or when version 2 of Leonidas comes out, we'll see the puppy has grown and become a functional member of the team and all that stuff. So that'll probably be Wave 3, where we see the dog as a full grown dog, but we don't see the dog in comic book number 1 just yet, and that's for a reason.
Okay, cool. I like the mystery.
Yeah.
So, Steve, what made you decide O-ring when you decided to launch your own toy line? Because there's so many different construction options.
No, there isn't. There is only O-ring. All other must die.
All right. Yeah, a man of my own heart there. So yeah, that's why. And I think that has a lot to do with like I said, what I realized when I got Delta-17 in hand was all my toy buying decisions were kind of trying to recapture that that joy I got from a real American hero. And when they stopped making them, I was buying a lot of things, but they were all just kind of substitutions for that.
Yeah, and they didn't quite do it compared to just some random glossy GI Joe. It's like, whoa, these are killer, and like now that I have Delta in hand, I've given them away to some of my little, I don't know, nephews in laws and third cousin 5 times removed and all that stuff. They love it. They're just like, I'll look back, we went to a couple of gatherings and I'd peek over a couple of times. 2 hours later, they're still like pew, 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 they're still, and I heard back from my one uncle that it's been a week straight and this little guy is still playing with Rooster hardcore. So he bought a few more off of me, and there's a need out there for a different family of toys, a different style, a different construction that's just seems a bit more hardy and has, like, when you get a bit of a shine and a weight to something, it feels like it's worth something. It's like a nugget of gold. It's unexplainable, but we perceive value to it. And a lot of the modern stuff, I love it all. I collect so much different stuff, but like I have some Robotech stuff over there. They're big vehicles, and it's got that shine. It's got that weight. It instantly enters a new tier, right? So,
and that's a great thing that you've kind of addressed, whether it was purposeful or not. There's a difference between a toy that's just one other toy in the toy box and one that becomes a pocket companion. Your characters, I can totally see a kid sticking it in his pocket, going to school on his recess and saying, "Hey man, let's go hang out in the playground together." I like that.
And that's what I do to this day. I keep a Delta figure in my pocket everywhere I go, because that's what I did. Even when I got into heavy metal and vehicles and, alcohol and whatever other kind of evil things were out there, I still would sneak sometimes a G.I. Joe in my pocket.
Yeah.
Cool.
Definitely agree with that.
Well, we've addressed the fact that you're doing real world equipment and weapon designs. I was curious if you have a military advisor. I know you have some experience yourself, but when it comes to nomenclatures and accuracy on what you're doing with your molds, do you have someone that you go to get your information?
No, I do most of my own research. Sometimes I forget stuff. I have my own gun collection here. So some of the guns that these guys have, I have about half of them in my own collection. So, my real world experience is going out with my buddies and popping off, 1,000 rounds in a couple hours. So I still do a lot of research though, and I hope that I do well. There's always going to be stuff that I miss, and with my fatigue syndrome, there's stuff that I forget quite a bit. So that's the unfortunate thing. But
I think the important thing is that you kind of you do the research, you double check that stuff before you put it out. Whereas maybe some companies don't really care.
Yeah. Oh yeah, research. This is research.
And Possible Pie wants to know if you could legally say what the guns are actually called on card, because I guess there are some.
I'm not 100% sure on that. I mean, we've avoided it for, I think it was Jaguar. He comes with a well-known gun that I may or may not have in my gun safe. And we did not, but we did say on Preacher that he comes with an MRAD, so.
Yeah, some of them you definitely put them there, like the law rocket, for example, that was on there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. All right, cool. So, Steve, here's just a question from me. How much of your initial vision were you able to accomplish in the first wave? Anything like you left on the cutting room floor you regret, or do you feel you got most of what you set out to do done here? Because you got a lot. You got a lot in this wave, and I'm just, curious.
Yeah, I'd say about 80% of the first, well, maybe about 70%. I don't know. Anything, okay. So at the end of the day, this is a product. Anybody who assumes that everything that they do is great is delusional, right? So I try to approach it that way. So I'll make something, I'll get right into it, laser focused. I'm lost in that world. Then you got to back off and you got to say, now, is this any good? And you got to be willing to say, like, hey, I just made a pile of poop. It sucks, right? So about 70% of the figures that were in my first drawing of the 12 have made it to production, but they've gone through multiple revisions until they actually looked like something that was worth the time and the effort. There are some guys on the cutting room floor. If they're there, let them die. They don't deserve to live. There is one figure that did not make it into our wave 1. He is currently almost finished the sculpting phase. And so we call him a wave 1.5. He'll be an army builder as well. Something very, he's an unusual figure. We'll leave it at that.
I'm intrigued.
He'll be at Joe Fest. Not for sale though, but he'll be revealed at Joe Fest.
That's awesome. Sweet. I can't wait to see it. Yeah. So, and then we've got Largo here.
The comic book is coming from 5x5 Comics. We're excited for it. Obviously, you've read some comics in your day. Is there a particular artist or writer that inspired you?
Oh, man, that's a long list. There's a lot of great writers and artists, and I know Ken wants to jump into this too. But Chris Claremont's X-Men with Jim Lee was fantastic. Yeah. Prior to that, with Mark Silvestri and I can't remember who was writing that. Was that Claremont as well? And the X-Men is always, I would try to model Delta after X-Men if anything, because they really brought strong characters together who all had a role, yet were individuals, yet, et cetera, et cetera. The ultimate comic book, I think my favorite of all time would be G.I. Joe Annual #2 with Mike Golden on pencils. And I believe he wrote that one as well. And I was fortunate enough to meet him and have him autograph that one. That was incredible.
Nice. Yeah, the Claremont run with X-Men, I think that's a good touchstone because of the idea of having strong individual characters have to work as a team. And sometimes personalities will clash. So that's cool.
Yeah, but Team Adventures, X-Men is right up there, man. That is peak. So
how about you, Ken? Did you want to chime in on that? I know you've read a comic or two in your time.
Yeah.
Jeff Loeb was one of my big inspirations for writing. My favorite Batman comic of all time is The Long Halloween. And I know he followed it up with Dark Victory, and I know he did Haunted Night as well. And Hush was another real favorite of mine. Scott Snyder is another writer that I just absolutely adore. Ed Brubaker for sure.
Mhm.
Can't forget him. His run on Captain America with bringing Winter Soldier in, and his run on Daredevil. He did a bit of Batman as well. I think he did. Oh God, Gotham. Which was the one that was about the police force? I forgot what that was she called. And he did The Man Who Laughs as well, like Batman, The Man Who Laughs as well. So yeah, so
Yeah, good stuff.
those guys for sure.
Steve, do you have a self insert in this series? Is one of these
No.
characters you know? I know.
No,
but
I will not
do you
do
have a
that.
favorite? Can you pick a favorite? Do you
Ah,
have a
that, well,
favorite?
I have 4 kids. I'm not going to answer that question, right? Which one's my favorite kid, right?
Yeah, but I know the answer to your favorite kid, and I know the answer to your favorite Delta-17 figure.
Ah,
You know.
yeah. No, as far as number 1
Yeah.
and number 2 goes, there's about 4 or 5 guys in position number 1. It changes all the time, and in number 2 slot, there's about another 4 or 5, and that's
Sure.
I can't help it. Like I get into one, and then I pick up another, and I'm like, oh no, this one. Like Tommy and Jesse did such fantastic jobs on these figures. It's really astounding. Like with modern technology and these talented guys, we have met the bar for that era set, and whether or not we exceeded that bar, that's up to the people. I'm not going to toot that horn, that's for sure. But I really love their work. They did amazing work, and I'm so grateful. And Joe at the factory just knocked it out of the park.
Absolutely. I think you guys did. Yeah. And I agree with you 100%. You know, whereas like Rooster, I look at him, he's always like my initial go-to guy. I really like Preacher, but then I see Leonidas, and then and Kestrel is the one that initially I wasn't really like into her as much as I am now. Like, but I keep going back and picking her up because obviously Death Sparrow, or she stole my heart the second I saw her. But I'm really digging Kestrel. So yeah,
I think Kestrel's going to be a surprise hit, especially if people read the lore and see how interesting she is as a character. I think you'll see a lot more interest in her.
Yeah, that's just it. Can we bring her to life? Is she important? What's she like in real life? It's interesting. She's young, so she'll be our Jubilee sort of.
Cool.
Not the annoying
no,
cartoon Jubilee.
Not the cartoon version.
Disclaimer.
Disclaimer.
Yes.
Excuse me. One of the things I enjoyed researching the lore is how many special teams, tier 1, tier 2 type operators internationally that you have name dropped or addressed or worked into the storyline. Are there any particular ones that are kind of near and dear to your heart? I'm assuming, the Canadian Special Forces, of course, would be. But is there a reason you chose these particular groups to draw from for your talent and your teams?
Well, I've always been fascinated with them, like as being a part of the reserves and whatever. I mean, we're nowhere near that level of, obviously. We did train on a base though that also trains, NTOG and JTF too and all that stuff. So you see them there from time to time. If you poke your head around a building, they'll kill you. They are very secretive. They're secret squirrels for a reason.
Right.
But and we've cross trained with ERT and a whole bunch of other different groups, the Americans and different stuff. I don't know. I'm fascinated with it, but I am on the outside as far as, I'm not a secret squirrel. I haven't gotten anywhere near that level. So I have to research it like an outsider, and I'm sure I'm going to make some stupid mistakes. Like if you try to research the softcom world, it's just a jumble of abbreviations and different divisions that are attached to this regiment, battalion, so you try to put a guy into a specific division, and it's like, no, those guys are only SIGINT. They're not actually deployable. It's like, whatever,
it's like
shoot me now.
Fun factoid. I didn't know Spetsnaz is not a group. It's not a unit. It is a term for special. So whoever is special in a particular group, they are Spetsnaz, and then whatever else their title is. So
like
the
Spetsnaz, GRU, and all that. Yeah.
The former Soviet Union, the current Russia, their organization is very different from what we have in the West for how they organize their units. So it's cool to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
But
Mhm.
I like the fact that you do the attention to detail.
We're trying. I would like to bring someone in who's who knows all that secret squirrel language and how they make their soup, but we'll see.
So, I know this one is not gonna, I'm just gonna roll the dice though and try. None of my questions have been really hard hitting, but hey, what's next for Wave 1.5, 2, 3? Are you considering any other IPs or time periods, and then vehicles and play sets? I just know that some people are going to ask these questions. They've been asked in other streams and whatnot. So it's a multi-part question.
Sure.
Yeah, a lot of wrestlers, a lot of shirtless men, steel
Gotcha,
chairs,
gotcha.
hitting each
Yeah.
other.
Nope.
Wrestlers climbing out of steel cages, and we're working on getting Mr. T's likeness. So,
Yep.
There you
Yeah.
other than that,
That's it.
Excellent.
sarcasm. Hashtag sarcasm. Ken's a liar.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll do the bottom first. Vehicles. I would love to do 2 in Wave 2, but it's not going to happen. We're going to do
Okay.
probably just 1. Every now and then I say we're going to do 2, but that's just because I really want to. But the vehicle that we are doing, that will be like 2 or 3 vehicles slapped into one. It's going to be big, right?
Yep.
Other IPs, we are going to start a second corporation to address. It won't be 5x5. It'll be a different corporation for girls' toys. It will not be related to this. It's all on paper, and I think it's a sleeper hit.
Well,
I'll need a new team for that, and we're hoping within 2 years we can start to assemble a new team. Time periods, no, we're sticking.
okay.
Delta-17 stays right where it's at. We're not going back to World War II or anything like that.
Excellent.
If we do, maybe we'll do Delta-5. I don't know, something like that. We'll see.
Mhm.
You got Ken's noodle going. He wants a cool guy operator with Leonidas just in his skivvies and tank top, maybe a do-rag, so that'll appeal to the ladies, maybe.
Yeah. Nice. The ultimate wife beater version. Yeah.
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 All right. So,
Yeah, another thing you addressed is international team members.
Yeah.
We live in a very different geopolitical situation. I like the idea that this team is used as needed where they're needed, and they're composed of special operators from many different backgrounds. So,
Right.
how much of that is in your mind when you're storytelling?
Well, yeah, we definitely want to expand on that. I like the idea of keeping it American focused for the most part. Like the Delta-17 will be 50% or more American in its entirety. But yeah, geopolitical, you just can't get around it. I mean, the fact that, let's say that there is such a thing, touching back to some conspiracy theories, let's say that there is such a thing as a cabal or an Illuminati or whatever they want to call it. They're everywhere. The international central bankers and the weapons and the, whatever else, what do they call it? Military industrial complex and et cetera. Some of these things that are manufactured, these wars that are manufactured.
Yeah. Eisenhower warned us way back when that this was a thing. And
the Gulf of Tonkin,
on the wall.
Gulf of Tonkin event that started the Vietnam War that was predicated upon a lie. So this touches every group, every nationality.
Yeah, Kestrel came into the team. She was
Poland.
initially
Polish.
Yeah, but
Polish.
she was in a
J.W. Grom.
She was in a mission where I guess she came up against Delta-17, right? And then realized, or am I getting that right?
She had infiltrated retrograde from what we know so far.
Yeah.
We don't have the whole story yet.
But,
that'll be in comic book number 1. We'll see her.
Cool.
Very cool.
Let's just say I didn't even know that until you sent me the storyboards for comic issue 1, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Nephilim, yes. We won't have any Nephilim in our line, though, Scott.
Yeah. And then some overall questions that everyone's been asking, but I figure we should just address them and get them out there. So anyone asking. So we have the release date. Will there be any promotions for like all-in buyers, army builder sets,
Yes.
and shipping to international customers?
Okay, so for the next 2 to 4 weeks, I have a metric shit ton of work to do and things to figure
Yes.
out. I might drive down to New Jersey with the truck and offload a big pile to a fulfillment center so they can reach out to all international customers. I will handle all Canadian orders, and they will do, from the Philippines to the US to what have you. We're just hammering out some final details. Release date before the end of January for sure. Promotions for all in buyers. Yes, we want to give people, you want to buy the whole line. Well, you get one figure free. So you're paying for 11 or something like that. Maybe
Yeah.
Army builder sets.
Sweet.
We'll do the same thing where it's like, we're going to try to figure out a percentage, and you buy 6, you get blah, blah off. So it's
Sure.
like, cool,
Yeah. You don't have to nail anything down, but yeah, those are
That's right.
really nice things that you're putting out there, and a lot of manufacturers don't even do that. So once again,
Remember, kids, you need at least 9 figures to have a good fire team. Just saying.
That's right. Yeah.
so really cool that you're doing that, and thank you so much for answering that. And guys, stay tuned, because Delta-17toys.com is where you're gonna go to order those. Check out the website. All the information's on there. Thank you so much, Steve. Thank you so much, Ken. I appreciate you guys for.
We love hanging with you guys. It's just fun. Even if we're not talking toys, we just like hanging with you too.
Yeah, likewise, dude. Appreciate both you guys. That's awesome.
Wraith Mace with an all-in ×2. Yo Joe OC all in. Oh,
Nice.
guys, that's really. Oh my God, Roll Keeper ready for several all-ins, guys. Man, this is great.
Yeah, because once you see the line, you can't just get one. You got to get them all because they're all.
Well, I want to tell people, like, don't go too crazy because our economy is slowing down. It is getting difficult. Make sure you pay your bills and feed your kids, right? We do have a lot of toys here. There is no panic that, oh my goodness, if you don't get them in the next 30 seconds, Serpentor is gone, right? It's not going to. Yeah, so it's not going to be like that.
What I told a few people and what I said on Oz's the other night is we don't actually even know what our factory's minimum order quantity is, because we put our order in and we were far enough over. They didn't even tell us what the minimum order was.
Yep.
So that's to show. Usually the first question is, how much do you want to order? Okay, well, our minimum is this. You got to bump up by 500 units or whatever. We threw our numbers at them and they said, don't even worry about the MOQ. So that should
you'll
give
have
you an
plenty
idea
on the website. You guys are going to be at some toy shows throughout the year, and you'll have product with you then as well.
Yes.
Okay.
Now, how things change in a year's time, I don't know. Don't quote me on January 7th, 2024 and say that, oh, by the way, it's March of 2025. How come you sold out? Well, because they got popular, right?
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, like I said, I'm blown away. I loved them when I saw them initially. I loved the idea of them when I only heard rumors from Ken that there was something coming out with some combination of letters and numbers, and and then when I finally saw them, from love at first sight, loved them. All I could say is, once again, congratulations. It's no easy task, coming up with an idea, and I feel like Delta-17 for me is the torchbearer. You guys have taken what was great about the thing I loved the most when I was a kid, and this is the evolution of it. This is the next level, the next step. It pays homage to the past, but moves it into the future of present day. So bravo, man.
Yeah, with everything we've seen in the O-ring Renaissance, as Ken has termed it, I like something from every line, but not the entire line. Delta-17 is the only line I can say I like everything. I like the packaging. I like the backstory. I like the quality of the figures. It is the all-in line of O-rings coming out.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, as far as the other O-ring lines go, I'm so excited about them. For one, I don't have to make them, so I don't have to work my ass off. I can just buy them and just I can bring them in and just be like, yes, and set them up. So I'm really excited about all these other lines. There's a lot of color, a lot of interesting stuff.
Yeah. As much as we've entered the sort of toy production phase, you never stop kind of being a fanboy of stuff, right? Like I was holding up earlier, and I know Chad said he was going to have Matt LaCroix on later on anyway. Like I got these, Steve, you're getting one of these figures.
Yeah.
I made the transaction,
and then I got to get more.
And then we might have to get a few more. And then Longbow has some really great, Call Sign Longbow has some really great stuff. The wolf with the swappable head kit from the Skeletron project, right? Hidden Force ninjas in the Navy stuff.
Yep.
You know, Recall's coming. You know.
Yes.
Yeah. All these guys have some great sculptors, some cool ideas, but I'm going to be cherry picking from those other lines. Delta-17, I want them all.
Right now, I'm all in on Call Sign Longbow. I don't know if that'll be the case in Wave 2, but because I got the all-in
Lost
package.
Squadron, I want all of those because I'm a sucker for Bullet Man and Mike Power.
Yeah.
Oh, for Strike Force, yeah. I need to get those two for sure. Atomic Mike and Bullet Head or whatever they called them.
Johnny Bullet.
Hey, I know you guys have a busy day, so I don't want to keep you any longer. Anyone in the chat with any last questions, we're going to wrap it up.
We'll be on Highly Articulated right after this, and then later on in the day we'll be
9 minutes.
No, he goes on 5 minutes after the hour.
Oh, okay.
So and
so
then after that, break something.
Time to freshen up and do whatever you have.
Grab
to
a tasty beverage or what have you.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Well, thank you so much, guys. Delta-17, congrats. Coming soon, guys, before the end of the month. Stay tuned. As soon as I see anything, once that site goes live, I'll report it. Steve, congrats. Ken, congrats. Thank you guys so much for coming on and talking to us. I appreciate it. And
thank you.
With that, we're gonna go. So let me find the. I'm really good at this. There we go. That's it. All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Have a great week, everyone. We'll see you next time. Thank you so much.